Damn. This is good times. Here we go.
Welcome all to the Tales of Tyria. Welcome all to the Tales of Tyria.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week on Tales of Tyria, we've got Storytime, feedback, some discussion on Black Friday, and the Necromancer, Master of Death. Yes, welcome one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of Tales of Tyria right here in the Sound Strategy Network. I am Bridger. I'll be your host for this evening while we talk about Guild Wars 2. This is a great show. Glad you got a hold of the program, however you may have found it. Tell a friend or two, won't you? We are almost live from the Great Cloud Skimmer Tavern right here in the great free city of Lion's Arch. Now, we got a couple of special guests here today. Let me introduce them. From the internet, Matt Visual. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yes, good to see you. Again, you can find him on YouTube as Matt Visual. That's the username you search for. Lots of good Guild Wars 2 content there. And popping the rudimentary Guild Wars 2 cherry, as it were, Snake Basket. I just wanted to combine those metaphors with the name. It's weird. And then there's a squid. Why is there a squid? Tell us about the squid.
The squid is there because the common squid, much like the Necromancer, has an underestimated intelligence value.
Aha! I would put a dolphin myself if that's what I was going for, but, you know, to each their own.
Well,
so,
everybody knows about the dolphin's intelligence, but nobody knows about the squid's.
Oh, so you're being sneaky. They're underestimating you.
Exactly.
All right, so a couple of quick announcements at the start of the show here today. I got an email from someone going by the name of Thirsty, which is odd because it's an adjective that is easily remedied in most first world countries. So, how can you be thirsty for more than like a day before you're not even existing anymore? I don't know. You can't stay that way. I mean, Bridger, there's always places to put bridges. Anyway, we're on a tangent again. He sent me an email suggesting that we look for some good fan fiction to read during story time, and that's not a bad idea. If any of you guys come across anything that would fit, we don't want anything that's too long. That would be great. Send us feedback at talesoftyria.com. If you have a great Guild Wars 2 story, if you find a great Guild Wars 2 story, we want to hear about it. Feedback at talesoftyria.com is how you get a hold of us. Also, Tales of Tyria is now going to moving to a bi-weekly schedule, and I know that that's going to make a lot of people a little bit disappointed. I'm sorry about that, but I don't want to get too burned out. We've been doing this for like a year straight. Only missed 2 weeks out of the last 57, 8 episodes, so that's pretty impressive, I think.
Commendable.
Yes. And also, we've kind of talked about everything there is to talk about with the release of the game. We've gone over everything we wanted to go over. We covered tons of stuff while the game was still in beta. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm reaching the bottom of the barrel, and rather than have the show's quality degrade for want of having anything specific that I'm really interested in talking about, I'd like to sort of move it so that we have more news and more changes and things to talk about every 2 weeks instead of every week. So that is the situation. So don't expect Tales of Tyria just to be there next week. The week after that, we're back again. However, to replace it, because I am crazy and I can't give myself a vacation because, well, that would just be normal, I am replacing it with Tales of Auraxis, a Planetside 2 podcast starting next Sunday. And that's going to go every other week. So there's still going to be Bridger every Sunday. It's just going to be on different stuff. So hopefully we'll have some people interested in that. And if you know some people, and that's going to be posted again here on Twitch and on the TeamSpeak, the what you call it, the YouTube. There we go. Wow. Okay.
The YouTubes.
The YouTubes. Yes, multiple tubes of the U. Okay, so that's all the big show notes coming off the beginning. So how have you guys been this week? Have you accomplished anything much in Guild Wars 2?
Other than getting fat? Oh, that's right, in Guild Wars 2. I was thinking about Thanksgiving.
Yes. Well,
Oh, it was good. Oh, it was so good.
you know, that would be interesting. Now, if ArenaNet offered in the Black Lion store the ability to sort of remake your character for a certain number of gems, right? That's something that they could easily put in there and a bunch of people probably want. Like, oh, I'm tired of this hairstyle. I need a new one. You know, something like that. Like,
So
you
not
could-
a full race change or anything, just cosmetic.
Exactly. Just changing up your character's cosmetics. You know, change. You just call it a haircut. You know, that's only 200 gems, just a haircut. If you want to go in there and change what your face looks like, plastic surgery, that costs a bit more.
I think a lot of people would love that because I'm a female Azura Necromancer, and I've got this pink, what are they called? Hairband, and unless I base my whole color template around pink, my character doesn't match.
Yeah.
That's a damn shame. But you know, that's what I'm thinking. And then on Black Friday, what they could do is have a special sale where they make your character fat for a few weeks and then it goes
Yeah,
away.
that would be amazing.
I wonder if people would pay for that. That's the kind of crazy, out of the way thing that maybe some people would buy because they're crazy and they want to throw money at ArenaNet. Anyway,
Internet might
It's
have
the
to
same
pay
thing
people
with
for that.
with Star Wars, when you used to make your character and you have a fat Jedi, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just like you kind of will cut your own fat with the lightsaber, wouldn't you? So it's just like
Thus becoming
a fat
thin,
hero.
So you'd only be fat for as long as you use the lightsaber the first time.
huh.
Right.
I would just think
Makes sense.
exercising with the Force would allow you to, you know, if you can lift up X-wings with your mind, you'd think you'd have the willpower to not eat that last spoonful of, you know, pork ribs or whatever.
Right.
Because I eat pork ribs with a spoon. I don't know about you guys.
You could sit there and contract and retract your abs without actually moving.
Oh, he's saying we have lip sync problems in the chat. That's not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to happen. I hope that's not still happening. We'll find out. I guess. So, let's move on to story time this week, ladies and gentlemen. This week we have a story sent in by David Professor Enzo. Our guild was split onto 2 overflow servers, and both had stories that could only come from an event like this. As an aside, he's referring to the Karka/Lost Shores event. Quote, "It is a massive battle like this. There will always be the downed and the killed. You can try to help the people nearby, but you can't get to everyone and you can't always help. On our server, we had the advantage of the Naked Res Squad. We knew this because early into the event we heard someone declare, 'Don't worry, the Naked Res Squad is here to help.' It wasn't until 30 minutes later, when I was downed by a stealth Karka, that I was able to appreciate our advantage. As I lay on the ground, I saw a large naked man come running over to where I was, and a number of others were downed. He said, 'Rezzing is at hand,' and proceeded to get to work and get us all back up and fighting. He then ran off in search of others in need of his help. I thought that this would have been a story of the day until I heard laughter coming from my guildmates on another overflow server. As a downed character being rezzed in the middle of their battle, the kind soul comforted the downed player by saying, 'Shh, no more tears, only dreams.' Maybe you had to be there, but no one could stop laughing for some time after that." Unquote. I had to say, that was a pretty awesome story.
Those men should be awarded.
No more tears. As he's getting them back up to go into combat. What?
Just dreams.
Oh, man. It's like he's giving them last rites, and then they pop back to life, and he's like, damn it! I just promised them no more tears. Now they're going to get crushed by a Karka again. Why does that always happen when I give them last rites by pressing F?
Well, that
many
sounds
people
really
are
fun,
dead out
just
there.
running around naked rezzing people.
Yeah, there's no downside, really.
You got nothing to lose.
Exactly. Nothing to lose.
More XP.
I don't know. Chat room. Naked Red Squad. Did any of you guys in the chat room see the Naked Red Squad?
I wish I saw that.
That would have been awesome. That would have been a great story. I wish we could have featured on... Oh, we did. So, on to feedback from the last couple of weeks. Somebody said, this is from Roy, quote, Could you please make a public service announcement informing everyone of the unique position of the dungeon party leader? I was the leader of a group in the Ascalonian Catacombs, Path 3. We had wasted about 2.5 hours failing to muster enough damage to take out the Graveling burrows before they could overwhelm us, so my wife switched to her Elementalist and I switched to my Ranger to grab some power-boosting consumables. When I switched characters, my whole party was kicked from the dungeon and we couldn't get back in. Apparently this situation is unique to the party leader. Please let everyone know that the party leader must not change characters or it will end the dungeon instance. I don't know the specifics of why this is, but it's extremely frustrating to learn by experience. Unquote. Thank you, Roy. That is a very good public service announcement that everybody should be aware of. Not everybody runs dungeons all the time and may not have run into this, but that sounds extremely frustrating, especially because
Man, I can attest to that. I've had that happen, and it's just like the worst thing that could happen, especially when you're like on the last boss or something, and somebody just wants to pop out for a minute or something, and you know they expect to come back, and then it's just ruined.
Or God forbid the game crashes or something happens on the computer where they have to reboot to fix a sound card issue. Nope, sorry, you have to restart everything. Yeah, that's disappointing.
I don't know why that would be there. That just, to me, that says that that was never tested, and it was just an oversight. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a party leader, but the person who starts the dungeon becomes the quote-unquote party leader. All it would require is passing of that status to someone else, theoretically. But maybe it's set up that way to prevent some kind of
exploitation.
Exploitation, maybe? It's possible. It's possible.
There's no justification for that, in my mind, at least.
There's got to be a better way. But, you know, ArenaNet, they're short on time when game was launching, so it's possible this was sort of a Band-Aid fix thrown in to prevent an exploit.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll get around to fixing it later. We hope. We hope. Also, by the way, unlike the other dungeons, Fractals does not let you rejoin if you get disconnected. So be very careful. Does not let you rejoin. So if your group is in the middle of like the second section of a Fractals dungeon and somebody disconnects or wants to change character, you just have to do it with 4, apparently. So
many times I had to do it with 4. I had to actually defeat the first boss on the second Fractals level with 4 people.
Oh,
no,
God.
actually,
Because of disconnects?
one of our guys died. Yeah,
the tentacle monster guy you're talking about, right? The big.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
Actually, 3 people, because one of them died right in the middle of the tentacles. Right.
Oh,
And
man.
you know, when you fight that boss on that second round, when all the tentacles spawn, they spawn too quickly. You can't get to him.
No. You're
there.
going to have your hands full just keeping one down long enough. And yeah, we had to do that with 5. It was hard enough. I think we wiped about twice before we got the right pattern down. But yeah, that sounds painful. So thanks to the anonymous tip for that, and thanks to Roy for the original PSA there. Also, Tales of Tyria from EU Underworld writes, quote, "Next year, why not keep the jumping puzzle as is, but make the other players appear as ghostly, transparent outlines? This would give you the advantage of running with the pack while still letting you see your own character." Unquote. By the way, he is talking about the Halloween jumping puzzle and how
Clock
people were
tower.
having the problems with the clock tower, and we had some feedback saying I had the advantage of running through it by myself, and I think it was harder than when it was running through it with other people. So what his suggestion was, hey, why not just make the other people translucent? That's a brilliant idea, I think.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think I don't realistically see ArenaNet doing that. I feel like they'd either go with one or the other rather than putting in the time to make the translucency right and all that. It is a great idea, though.
Somebody said, I wasn't reading the chat. Dagnus said, "You think that's hard? 4 people and the crystals bugged and couldn't be picked up."
Yeah, that's nasty. Ouch. Oh man, I would rage.
I don't even know.
You would have to do that whole fractal all over again.
How do you even
Maybe
kill
not.
him if the crystals bug? The crystals are the only way to kill him, I think.
You can't kill him. You can't. Because you need the crystals in order to throw it back into his face.
Yeah, that's the best part of that whole fight. Anyway, Padraig says, quote, "Have you noticed that ArenaNet's battle on bots has coincided with the drop in numbers on your show? Have you considered that many of your listeners might be bots?" Unquote. No, I had not, but now I know that Cylons are real. I didn't know that until now. Padraig raises a very good point. Bots are gone, and so is the listenership. It only leads one conclusion. The people running the bots were listening to the show. When they're not botting, they have no reason to listen to the show. ArenaNet, bring back the bots for my sake, please.
Just to inflate the numbers.
Exactly. Kizu says he's not a bot in the chat room. I think that's exactly what a bot would say, though.
Right.
That's typical. That's a typical bot programmed response. Absolutely.
I think
Kizu
so.
4U2, it's got to be a bot.
It looks just like a bot. I mean, there's random letters and numbers in there. Just by chance did you get a couple of vowels in with the consonants there? Clearly.
Don't you like
Chris.
logging into Guild Wars 2 after a couple of days and then having a message say, "I love you," and then you click on it, you're like, "Oh, someone loves me," and then, oh, it's just a bot. "Hey, hero, please buy this gold for $1," and I'm like, "Oh,
You don't
That
love
hurt
me
my
at
heart.
all. That was a lie. It's true. I mean, wasn't there a virus named the I Love You virus that was going around in the early 2000s or maybe the late 99s when 99, maybe the late 90s when they would just have email chains that say I love you and then you open it and the virus and there was like a worm that infects your system. Oh man.
That's twisted.
That was
is
crazy.
twisted.
So the other thing is that people on Reddit are reporting, you know what? I haven't seen a bot in a long time. Have you guys seen bots?
No, and I was just telling Matt this before. I've been noticing, powerful bloods. A lot of the prices on just stuff I'll farm for a little bit. I'll pop a what are they called? Omnon berry and farm a little bit. And a lot of the things I get, the prices have almost tripled. And I don't know if that's because there's less bots saturating the market, or as Matt brought up, what was it that
precursors were being spit out in the event of that
Right,
chest
so-
at Saturday, Sunday,
Yes.
that
Sunday.
last event for Lost Shores.
Yeah,
People are
so
getting-
you're suggesting that people are now, because they got precursors, decided, oh, I'm actually going to go and farm for this stuff I need for my legendary.
Or just buy it because they don't.
Oh, just buy it,
They
yeah.
just want to buy it. So all the prices, all the cheap ones, just got bought out, and now all
we
you
could
have
be
is
seeing
all
the
expensive.
real market, for Guild Wars 2 show up now that it's less flooded.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, is good and bad. I mean,
It's
it
good
makes
and
it
bad, yeah.
harder for crafters and stuff like that, but it certainly makes it, easier for people to make gold by just farming for a little bit.
Farming, and there might, real niche markets and stuff like that might come up now that everything's not on the market and there's no margins anywhere. We could start seeing margins just from real people only putting in what they're doing.
The thing with farming is that ArenaNet hates it, and so it's like, how do you make money? Do you keep doing events, which they also nerfed? What do you do? What do you do to make money? Like, I don't
Well, that's a great
understand the
question.
concept.
I know how to make money. I go to work, and they pay me, and then
Buy
I come
gems.
home, I buy gems, and then I play what I want to do instead of farm things.
Now,
Well, that's an interesting
now it
theory
makes
there, Roger.
sense. Now it makes sense. The gem system. This was all in place. They nerfed everything.
How convenient.
Everything. And you just get pushed to buy gems. It makes sense now. I'm onto you, ArenaNet. I see it now.
It's a
So
secret.
clear. You heard it here first, guys.
Well, other than gems or farming, it is a good question. I mean, how do you make money? Somebody in the chat said farm Ara, but I mean, that's essentially farming. So, I mean, you can't really make money at crafting because the margins just aren't there. So, I don't know. I mean, if I'm making money, I farm for it. I don't know what everybody else does.
Yeah, exactly. The farming, that's what we're built for. Like, okay, I want to make money, so you farm an event chain or something like that. I thought the fractals originally was going to be a place that we can get armor that we can sell on the trading
Well,
post.
spine guards you can get there, right?
Well, hold up, those are
Those are the back pieces.
but aren't everything is like account bound. Everything is account bound.
But right after the fractals came out, everybody's like, you can go on the trading post, you can search spine guard and get back pieces. I thought that was stuff that was dropping in fractals. Maybe that was stuff that was dropping in Lost Shore. Maybe I got it confused.
Because most of the stuff I get is account bound. Most of it. I'm not all of it, but most of it is account bound, and I can't You can't sell any of it. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I thought this was going to be the way, like just like in Guild Wars 1 where you can farm a dungeon and you make money off of it.
Well, have you
People who
tried?
get far.
Right. Have you tried just like long-term trading post gains? Like for instance, around Halloween, I bought a bunch of sugar pumpkins like a week before, and those really skyrocketed. I mean, you can make money, but it's difficult, and you have to know. You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
actually
No.
I played it safe. They were selling on average for like 30 or 40 for a couple weeks, just straight waiting until Halloween, and then they skyrocketed to like a silver 50 or a silver
Right.
70 or something. But then after that, when the Halloween content actually was released and people realized, well, the only thing you can make pumpkins with is crappy, then suddenly the market crashed as everybody tried to dump their
Totally.
pumpkins, but it crashed down to 17 copper. So I bought them at 17 copper knowing that they would go back to their normal price of about 30 copper, and then I sold about 1,000 of them at 30. I was like, bam!
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of them. But yeah, no, there was a small window where you could make a lot of gold.
Definitely. Oh yeah. Every time one of these new events comes out and they add new recipes of any kind, you can make tons of money. I mean, when they added the Lost Shores event, added a new type of craftable. What is it? The apothecary set, right? I think it's healing primary, and then some toughness and vitality. I want to say something like that. But the apothecary set was brand new, and you had to have carcass shells to make it. And because there was not much supply on the auction house, it was selling for way more than it cost to craft it for a short period of time. You could make like $1.50 gold if you were in that window and selling it. Now, if you crafted it and then tried to sell it when the market was crashing, you couldn't do it.
These things are short-lived, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to be the first in the scene. If you realize you're not the first on the scene, then don't even bother, because you're going to wind up being the guy that loses money to the people that were there first. That's the problem.
There has to be like a cycle here, though. It can't be like everyone. The only way to make money is to the trading post. Not everyone wants to do that.
The other option is
So
to do
there
it
needs
slower.
to be other ones. Yeah,
And
someone
slowly
needs to get
stuff.
the item to be sold, to be haggled, for it to fluctuate. But if you can't get the item effectively, then all the prices might go up or something like that if they keep nerfing everything. Sure, people keep finding ways to farm spots to get what they need.
Exactly.
It's just that they have to keep it off the forums because ArenaNet's watching always.
And of course, my methods I wouldn't dare say live because they're so secret.
So here's interesting. So while we're talking about the fractals a little bit, here's a blog from the Guild Wars 2 website that basically was by, who is this? Chris Whiteside. He lays out the plan, the general rundown of what they're working towards in the upcoming months. Revamping all our existing dungeons, both story and explorable versions, through rebalance and overhauled encounters. Adding new dungeons to the Fractals of the Mist, so we kind of speculated on that a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
or last week rather, how they were going to expand that. So it looks like they're just going to add more mini dungeons to that. That sounds interesting.
Right.
Adding more variation to creatures, enhancing our open world scaling system, building on the South Sun Cove's persistent content. Now, does that mean they're adding new stuff to South Sun Cove, or they're going to be doing more events like that and trying to do them better? Building on the South Sun Cove's persistent content.
That sounds like adding more events.
Yeah,
To
it
me.
sounds like a way, maybe like a cycle you can go through the whole island, taking over buildings and stuff
Right,
like
maybe
that.
with variations.
Maybe it's
Not
just
making
going to
it
be
so useless now.
Maybe it's just going to be like in every 2 months something new is going to be happening on that island. They'll make that like the event island, and maybe there'll be more stuff happening, like, I don't know, Bubbles is coming up. I don't know. On that island, that's where you fight Bubbles. You heard it here first on Tales of Tyria.
Well, that's a
Never
good
forget.
idea. They should do things like that. Anyway, anything to keep it fresh,
Yeah.
Now, they also say adding brand new content to World vs. World, as well as adding new reward progression. About damn time. Come on. World v. World needs some refreshes. We need to bust up the Zergs, just like we need to bust up the Unions. Wait, no, that's wrong. We need to bust up the Zergs in World v. World. That's what we need to do. We'll see.
World v. World is a tough nut to crack. I remember you guys were talking about it recently, and yeah, I mean, there's no easy solution there.
No, not something easy. It's going to take a lot of programming and stuff like that. So, all right, so I just thought I'd throw that out there because there's some interesting things in there, and specifically the fact that they're adding mini dungeons to the fractals means I'm kind of glad that I didn't play it out like crazy right now, because then when the new fractals come out, I'm going to be like, oh, I want to try those out. And then I go in and I try to do the new fractals. I just keep doing all the ones I already did. It's like, I don't want to do this one. Start over. Start over.
Especially the ones that you hate. You're like, oh, forget this. I don't want to put this on a harder difficulty and play this.
Because even the Colossus is going to be boring the 17th time you do it.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more the 18th or 19th, but I guess.
Yeah.
Well, if you're lame, maybe you're bored of it the 17th time. If you're not a true Guild Wars 2 fan. All right. So finally, Capo writes to us and says, quote, I was writing in regards to episode number 57. One of the guest hosts, Matt, I believe, mentioned the attribute Magic Find while discussing the Fractals dungeons. He stated that he has stacked in an abundance of Magic Find and it did not find any good loot from chests inside the Fractals. I just wanted to point out that, maybe unaware, that Magic Find does not affect loot received from chests. Magic Find only increases the likelihood of rare treasure drops from killing monsters and NPCs. ArenaNet posted about this topic a few weeks ago. Thanks, Capo Dragon Brand Server, unquote. So I'm sorry, Matt, we're going to have to let you go from the podcast. Every host gets only one chance, and if they get anything wrong...
I mean, it was only a matter of time.
Kicked off.
It was only a matter of time. I'll see you guys later. It was a good run. Yeah, I saw that in the chat when I was talking about it. I was like, oh, when you guys were talking, I was going to mention, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I seen that. It's
oh, you had to correct. I got like 6 people that said, oh, you did no Magic Find doesn't affect treasure chest. What are you talking about?
But see, that doesn't make any sense because they want you to have Magic Find when you go inside the dungeons.
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, here's the question: should it?
Yeah, no, because you want your build. You want your build when you go inside dungeons. You don't want to have to be forced. You're like, okay, if I don't have Magic Find, that means I'm not stuff. So I'm forced to do Magic Find when you're gonna have to compromise your build. And your build means everything. Like for me, like as a guardian, I want to heal people, and I can save people's life pretty quickly with my healing power if I have healing power on me. Like, oh, I'm going to put Sanctuary, I'm going to pop my Elite right quick and heal everybody. No, it's not going to be as effective as I want it to be because I have Magic Find on, which doesn't even affect chess.
Monkey Monger says on higher levels, all these Magic Find people are a liability. It's like
they are.
You're going to see that in Lion's Arch. You're going to see people saying, looking for a group, Fractals of the Mist, level 18, no Magic Find.
No Magic Find, please.
Magic Find as a mechanic, I don't like in any game, period, because it's a hassle to everybody. I don't know anybody that's like, I enjoy getting Magic Find gear and then switching to my Magic Find gear to open this, and just nobody likes it. There's no point to it.
Well, the Magic Find gear triggers the instant that something dies, and the loot that is like attributed the instant that it dies. So switching Magic Find gear and then looting the body doesn't do anything.
No,
and
I was
same
just
thing
speaking in
as
a general
chest.
sense.
No, I'm just clarifying for people that may not understand it that are out there.
Magic Find should be like a rare item that you can get, that you can tack on to your armor, that doesn't it doesn't replace anything.
No. I actually, because the idea of Magic Find, I think, is basically like, okay, Guild Wars 2, running this dungeon is easy. I want a challenge. So you put on your Magic Find gear, and higher challenge comes with higher reward. It's kind of a built-in, like, hard mode for all intents and purposes. And I kind of like that concept. I just wish there was a better way to switch between weapon. Like, if you have a gear set that you really like, instead of, like, going to your bank and finding it in the stupid thing and dragging it over and then clicking every single piece to put it on, it seems like it should be easier. Like, you should have multiple tabs and you just put this gear on and then it goes automatically to your inventory and back.
There should be a hotkey, to switch it on and off. I mean, your whole gear set, I mean, that would make sense.
Send to bank tab, bam, now it's hiding in my bank tab or something.
Anyone scared of salvaging
so much
it?
Inventory space.
Yeah. I mean, you could accidentally salvage or sell your armor because you're like, okay, I'm going to bring my Magic Find with me. I'm going to Ore real quick. And then you just like kind of toss them on and you have all your old armor inside and you're like, you sell everything. You're like, oh,
shoot.
snap.
That's why you pay for one of Bridger's patented invisible 20-slot bags for 20 gold. Then you will
I have
never
not
accidentally
used
sell
those.
anything again.
I have not used those at
No,
all.
you really? I have I think an 18 or a 15 slot invisible bag that I have at the bottom of all my other bags, and the stuff that I don't want to lose, like event specific things like the candy powered, matter meter. I had that hidden at the bottom. I have
And your
any
salvage
subsequent
kits.
salvage kits are down there. Any gear that I want to swap to, like extraneous weapon sets, I have those at the bottom. And that way, when I go to the thing, I know for a fact I'm not going to see it and accidentally sell it. Any like food, any the salvage kits, the mining picks, things like that is all in my invisible bag. So that way, I think I have two. I think I have a 15 and an 18 slot. So my bottom, like six, I know for a fact that my bottom 3 rows are all invisible. So whatever I put down there is safe. It's a good
I
time.
have the exact same setup, but I find like the priority for where
Oh,
gear
Dagnus
lands.
is capturing. He's saving me. I know mining picks can't be sold. Whatever.
Oh, all right, yeah. Well, I don't know. The priority for where items land when you loot them in your bag sometimes is a little wonky, and like stuff will end up in my invisible bag, and it's one thing. I mean, it's what I found works best. I have the exact same thing you have, Bridger, but it can still be annoying.
Listen, chat room's going insane. I put the mining picks and stuff in the bottom because that way I know everything in the top is loot. All right?
Right,
That way
right,
I can
right.
go through
A little
that
bit more
one by
organized.
one and say I want to salvage this, sell that, sell that, sell that. Ooh, I got to use a good salvage kit on that because it could get me some ecto, or I want the thing out of it. And that way I don't have to, like, okay, mining pick, nope, that's my salvage kit. Okay, keep going. No, it's all at the loot. It goes right at the top. That's why I do that way. All right? Calm down. I got it under control. All right. So let's move on and let's talk about this blog post that announced the very important Black Lion Trading Company Black Friday sales. Oh man, guys, did you go and buy all
Uh-oh.
kinds of gems for this sale?
Nope.
I didn't even know it existed.
I got like 5 emails and I was like, okay, yeah, moving on.
Exactly.
Like I was saving up for other real things in real life. Not,
Like,
not to
if-
say it's
if-
anything bad, but
If that
for
Black
buying
Friday sale had been, you can get 2,000 gems for the price of 1,000, I'm in. All right, you
Right.
got me. But if it's
Right.
like, yeah, karma boosts are 40% off, I'm like,
Yeah, okay.
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 I need one every couple of months to throw all my karma junks in at the same time.
Right. You get those Black Lion keys and you open those things and you get some of those and you just stack them
Exactly.
up in your bank until you want to use them again. 40% off the stuff. Yeah, the gem thing now that's something I would go for.
Absolutely.
That's the
Agreed.
money for me.
What is this? All right, this breaking news. Somebody broke
Uh-oh.
the fractals. Apparently.
Nerf, nerf.
They fell off of cliffside, but for some reason didn't take fall damage, so found themselves at the bottom of it. So we got some screenshots from below fractals. What is this nonsense?
Wow.
This is like somebody playing around in the world builder and just leaving it in the game.
Easter egg.
Yeah, I got under the clock tower as well. I have a video of that as well. They get under the clock tower, and that was pretty cool. But that's just wow.
Interesting. I got to stop scrolling through Reddit while we're doing the show. I'm just going to keep getting distracted. I was looking, though, for somebody who posted, like, I want to give ArenaNet all of my money, but they're making it so hard. Because they're,
Yeah.
aside from the Halloween costumes, they said there was nothing really tempting in the Black Lion store. And I had to agree. I bought one of the Halloween costumes. Those things were awesome. But there's nothing else in there I want. I really don't like buying consumables.
No. Yeah.
The only
you
thing I'm
need an
interested.
intervention if you're buying consumables.
The only thing I like is something that's gonna help me in my game, like
Permanently.
bank slots, character slots, stuff like that. That makes sense for me.
And it's so
You know?
expensive to get that, too. I had to spend so much on
very.
the damn bank slots just for quality of life improvements.
Jeez, so expensive.
I probably bought 2 games so far, maybe 3 versions
You're
of
right.
games of Guild Wars 2.
Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. I want to see name changes because there's names that are reserved that I wasn't able to get that they released and I still wasn't able to get for some reason, some glitch. And I finally got the name now, but now it's on another character. Now I need to pretty much, in order to get it, 2 name changes. So I need to switch the character that has the name I want to something else, and then the other character to the name I want on that character, and then switch it back. Like that's
Definitely.
That just sounds like a tangled web.
Name
Yes.
changes and server transfers that cost gold would be something I'd pay for if we needed to change servers. Not gold, gems, sorry. And cosmetic changes to the character. I think they could make a lot more gems in those kinds of things. And if they took the things that are currently consumables and turned them into less consumable or more longer times, things like the what was it? The downed mechanic, the finishing moves. Where you have like the cow finisher and those things. Nobody's going to pay for those for an hour, but if you were able to buy one for a moderate price and it would give you a cow finisher for a month, somebody might do that. I mean, if there was a cool finishing move that was
Exactly.
like
What is
my
it, 30
warrior,
minutes?
it's like 30 minutes to an hour, but then all it does is put a cow banner. I want to see something like customized per class, like a warrior with an axe, like spins in circles and chops his head off, and it goes flying down. Okay, it's
Yeah,
not an
a way
M-rated
cooler
game.
animation
That
or
might not work,
something.
but I mean, like a warrior with a sword does a leap in the air and sort of a final stab with his sword instead of the weird single animation where they just go "Arr!" and then pull a banner out of midair. And then an elementalist could like slow fireball and burn him to death. Any cool thing, I would buy that, and if it lasted for more than an hour, you know.
It's just not worth it at the moment. It's not at all.
What about town clothes? I think that the whole idea of town clothes is absolutely terrible to me. I'm sorry, like I come from MMOs that you can wear these stuff while you're fighting. Why can't I wear what I want when I'm killing Zaitan?
Well,
like,
Guild
I
Wars
want
1
a
was
top
like
hat
that,
and
right?
some sunglasses.
Wasn't Guild Wars 1 the costumes? They let you wear those any place, I thought. Weren't those on top of your armor? Somebody
That's
in
what
the
it
chat
should be,
know.
period.
Somebody from the chat.
I guess
Richard,
Arena
what is
Net...
going-
There was one for
Nothing? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I can't tell what that is. It's really
Oh.
small.
Oh. You mean what's going on behind me here? I'm just in
Yeah.
the
Okay. It
I'm
was
in the
so
tavern.
small. Like, is there a is there a grown man standing behind you?
Oh no, this is Cloud Skimmer Tavern. Of course there's someone standing behind me. Hey Bob, how's it going? How
He
how
didn't
are the
wave
char
back.
kittens? He didn't wave back? He might wave back. He likes to stretch. You'll see him, there he goes, he's stretching. He likes to
Oh.
stretch. He does that every 2 or 3 minutes. You know, that's just how he rolls. Anyway, so
He just lived in a log cabin or something and just hung out with dudes that look like that.
well, that's interesting. So this is, I guess, from that same thing, a huge swimming pool? What?
Wow.
What is this? This is so weird. All right, anyway, again, off the Reddit. Get off Reddit. It's bad for you. So yeah, things like that would make the thing. But town clothes, even in the Black Lion store, I expected way more town clothes. And I think something that would make town clothes way better is when you left combat, if you automatically went into your town clothes, or if you went into town and automatically entered your town clothes. You know, instead of having, now they did make it so you could press a button, so I switch over to my witch costume all the time now, just for having fun and riding around in a broomstick, and I don't look so goofy anymore. Did you guys see that? They patched the goofy face out.
Oh, I never seen the goofy face.
I don't know what the goofy
when you
face
have
is.
when you have a human riding around on a broomstick. For a while, she did like the colon D face. It was like, it was just like the giant,
They fixed
huge
it?
face. They fixed it, so now it's like a lesser version of that. She looks so goofy, like, this is amazing. But they changed it.
They should have fixed it to be more exaggerated.
No, they fixed that a little bit. But yeah, I'm surprised. It's been like 3 months. Where are the town clothes that you want people to pay besides the witch costume and the what's his name? That pumpkin head. Who is he? The Black King of some mad something.
That
He's
sounds
gonna
like a
punish
good band name, the Witch Costume.
Mad.
What's his name?
the Bad King's gonna
Bad King.
pay me back next Halloween for that mess up. All right, so that all having been said, yes, Black Friday sales, not super interested. Maybe if you were looking for those specific items, I guess, but Let's move on. Because it's time to discuss the master of the dark arts, the keeper of death's secret door of something, the Necromancer. Yes, this is as everybody knows, the person who has the art, shall we call it, of romancing people's necks. That's really where that comes from. And everybody knows that the neck is a vital part of the human body, and if it gets cut, then you die, and that's where we get Necromancer. So, why Necromancer?
That makes more sense than it should have.
Yeah.
I had to come up with a bit. Everybody needs a bit at the beginning of their show. So that was mine. Anyway, thank you to my friend for...
Why Necromancer? The Necromancer suits my playstyle very well, and I think anyone who has a similar playstyle can relate to that. I feel they have the tools for any situation, be it escape, chase. They need to hold their ground. I never feel like if I lose a battle, I always feel like I could have done something to win said battle.
Okay, that's definitely a legitimate thing. Stuff, a legitimate reason.
That would be
so
a
you're
thing
saying
of legitimacy.
yes. So you're saying that the Necromancer seems to be super overpowered and can do everything always.
Yes, in the right hands. In the right hands.
PvE kings, as I call it.
Ah, well, certainly when you look at their down state, where they can basically sit there like, oh, you think you killed me? Lifesteal, 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 and then I'm back.
Dark powers.
Honestly, the
Dead.
main thing, I think the Necromancer would be only 20 or 30% of how good it is currently if it didn't have one spell, and that one spell is Epidemic. I think Epidemic makes the Necromancer on par with every class, and in the right hands, better than other classes.
That's your AoE spell.
That's the condition spread
One of them.
spell.
Right. But I
Very
mean, that's
short
it.
cooldown.
Oh, it is. What's the cooldown on that? Like 5 seconds? 10 seconds?
Really short.
It's within there.
I realized it was that short.
15.
Is it 15?
Okay, so that's close enough.
15 seconds goes by quick when
It's
you're...
probably
Yeah,
something
it
you
does.
can lower
It
with
really does.
with traits too. Okay, so what about the life force / death shroud mechanic? Matt, tell us about that. How does it work? What's the purpose of it?
Basically, some people will argue, but it's like your second life. So you get your health down to a certain amount, or you don't have to. You can just pop it as soon as you go into battle, and you have life bar, life force. Oh, well, hold on. No, life force is what you use while you're in Death Shroud. I think it's the same thing.
That's the resource that is used when you're in Death Shroud.
Right. And basically you get like 4 moves that you can use, 4 skills, and mostly people pop in to use life transfer, which pretty much sucks the life out of everything around you. And until that runs out, you can pop in and out of it. Of course, it has a cooldown, and have your regular life up. Surprisingly, you can't lay down like an AoE heal or anything like that and heal yourself while you're inside of Death Shroud.
Right.
But yeah, like it's basically you can just pop into it and have a different life bar. You have your life pool as your life bar for that time being, and then you pop right back into your regular self and you have the same health you left with.
So if you take damage while you're in Death Shroud, it comes off of your life force, not
Right.
off of your regular health.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, your regular health in the background is not necessarily healing, but it's not going down either. Now, the number 5 on that, the life transfer, that steals their life force and turns it into life force. It doesn't turn it into your regular health, right? You're not going to come
Yeah.
out of Death Shroud with more health than you left unless you use maybe a healing skill. Can you even use that in Death Shroud?
You cannot, and that's the number 4 skill. There's only 4 in Death Shroud.
Oh, 4, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So that's interesting. Now, the one thing that I think Kai was mentioning last week is that the Death Shroud mechanic doesn't have a lot of damage in it. It seems to be a hide in here for a while and hope your opponents die of those things that you put on them.
And there is truth to that. I mean, you will lose most of your damage output unless you're spec'd as a power build, in which
Yeah.
case the number one auto attack does do a good amount of damage, especially if it crits. But yeah, no, I mean it's a extremely useful defensive mechanic. You can fear someone, and you can basically eat somebody's, if you anticipate it correctly, you can eat someone's entire like burst combo and
Yeah,
not
I have
take any
power and
damage.
crit.
Ah.
I have power and crit, so it does some decent damage. And plus, if someone's about, you could sense when someone's about to pop for instance, a warrior, when he's about to pop his adrenaline, and that thing does like kind of like 10k crit. You
Right.
can just pop your Death Shroud, and it hits you, and it just takes away the life force instead of your health. So he already used his card. So basically, you just come right at him after that.
Now,
so you
if,
can
if,
kind of
if you take
do
a
it right.
ton of damage in your Death Shroud mode, will it spill over into your health if you're already low on life force?
I'm really not sure about that. That's a good question. I was just thinking about that. But if you have like a sliver of life force and you're in Death Shroud and somebody, well exceeds how much life force you have, I'm not sure if it all gets absorbed or if it carries over.
No, there's the chat is saying no. I don't think so either. Yeah,
Really? Interesting.
I've saved myself a few times with that.
Huh.
Right.
So that's very interesting. Now the Death Shroud mechanic does seem to be made for condition type necromancers to sort of say, oh, I'm going to hit you with all these bleeds, and then while I'm waiting for those cooldowns, I'll hide in Death Shroud mode and absorb all your
Exactly.
damage. So it
That's
does seem
exactly
like
what I
that's
did.
the way that it's meant to be played, if you want to put it in NVIDIA terms.
With a condition build, yes, but with a power build, you want to focus on, regaining life force, going in and using that as your damage output,
So how
especially
do-
if you have like an axe build or something.
Let's go there. How do you gain life force?
Well, all of your spells give you a certain, not all of them, but the majority of them give you a certain percentage of life force.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Necrotic Grasp on the staff gives you life force. But that seems to be the only one on the staff, but it maybe gives you a good amount of life force. Is there any other way to get life force except through the weapons?
I'm not exactly sure.
My understanding is that when things die, it also has this green. It seems to give you life force.
I've never been in a situation where I've been like, I need to gain life force a lot faster and build specifically for it, because when you're fighting, it goes up pretty quickly.
Yeah, Monster
It's kind of a
corrects
non-issue.
too. It's basically when anything dies around you, it'll also give you a little bit of life force. But I think the main way of getting it is through your damage, through your damaging weapon skills.
Exactly.
So, let's talk about then. Let me see what else is good here. So, is there anything about the Necromancer, not necessarily the weapon spells or the utility spells or anything like that, but the Necromancer's theme and how it's portrayed with the Death Shroud or within their sets of skills that you think could be better? Is there something about it that you don't like?
For me, I don't like, because I like lifesteal. I like the whole mechanic, in League of Legends and everywhere. Like, I just like lifesteal. And when I saw the Necro had it, I wanted to go more into it. And then I was completely sad because in the trait, I think it's blood magic, right? It gives you vitality and it gives you healing power. But this blood magic is where you get most of the siphon health thing. Which is the lifesteal. But healing magic, healing power does not help you with siphoning health. So what was the whole point of that?
Right.
I have no idea, like, what's the whole point around that? Like, why even put it there?
That would be my answer too. There needs to be more of a streamlined, mentality as far as the traits go. I mean, all the skills and everything, I'm a happy camper. I always feel like I have the tools I need, but as far as the traits go, they're a little lackluster with a streamlined idea or overall idea.
And I've heard
we can't have everything.
I've heard there's a lot of bugs and stuff with Necromancer spells. Not entirely unlike other classes as well. Rangers are in the chat going, yeah, bugs? You want us to talk about bugs?
Right. Totally.
So,
For instance, the R, when you're in Death Shroud, Dark Path, I mean, half the time that just doesn't work.
The R
Which,
when you're in
uh,
Death
for-
Shroud.
For everybody that doesn't know, that's you cast it and it shoots out. I don't know. I guess it's like a claw.
Oh, the
When
2
it hits
skill. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry, R. I don't know. I have weird hotkeys. It's
Fair
the 2
enough.
skill. Yeah, it's supposed to, teleport you to whatever it hits, but half the time it just doesn't teleport you.
Let's see what the wiki has to say about that. Can hit from a longer range than indicated, although if cast from a non-longer range, it will not track you fully from teleport. So that doesn't back up your story, but it sounds, I believe you.
Trust me.
So, all right, so let's move on then and talk a little bit about the weapon sets. What do you think is like the coolest weapon set combination? What is the most fun or coolest looking to use?
Matt, what do you think?
I have went through a lot of them. I didn't go into too much detail on every single one of them, but I tend to gravitate towards the scepter dagger, because I like that I can put a lot of bleeds on people and I can do it in a AOE, because I love me some AOE and PvE. I like to gather the whole planet, the whole map,
world.
the whole world, aggro the whole world, and just lay down AOE and just watch them all burn. Because that's what you do as a necro. I mean,
What do you have on your Switch? Staff?
yeah, I think the staff. Because I go into World v World a lot in the jumping puzzles, and I like to lay down some marks. Just to piss people off.
I don't think there's any reason not to have a staff on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's currently gives you the most utility and options. You've got a fear, you've got condition removal, you've got extra bleed, and you've got a slow. There's no reason not to have it.
Even though it's only 1 second fear, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, if you pop the fear on that, also it's AoE, which is good. But if you pop the fear on that, and then
true.
immediately pop into Death Shroud and use the fear in that and pop out, you can create a lot of distance. And then if you
You're
use
talking
the,
about Reaper's Mark on the staff? Or a different fear? Yeah, that's a 1 second fear?
Yeah, 1 second fear.
Yep, Reaper's Mark.
It used to be a lot longer, man. But, it's going to be a little bit overpowered, of course, if it's a little longer than that,
Yeah, I never feel like I need a longer fear, honestly, for creating distance.
If only
Yeah, it feels like it
AoE
lasts pretty long than 1 second.
If only
does.
AoE wasn't capped, you have like an army of necromancers that all cast Reaper's Mark over and over again in sequence.
Jeez. You can trait to make it I think 2 seconds, and you can also trait to make it deal damage. And I think if you get it to 2 seconds and doing between 500 and 1,000 per tick on there, so that's a good amount of damage just from a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the staff, what's it got? It's got an AoE 1 skill that damages foes in a line, and then it gives you a bleed that grants regeneration and bounces between allies and foes. And then it's got a mark that chills foes when they... Bouncing one's a different one. Mark of Blood just bleeds foes when they trigger it and grants regeneration to allies.
And these are all AoE, mind you.
AoE, chill, and poison, AoE conditions from allies to foes.
Condition
and
transfer, which is
condition
just
fear.
plain better than just removal.
Yeah, definitely. By about 100%. As long as they're...
Honestly, what your initial question, what's the most fun? I think Axe main hand power build is a lot of fun, but it's just not as viable as a condition build.
Yeah, I like the ghostly claws. Like, why does
It's
Axe
cool.
turn into claws? I don't know.
Who knows, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Definitely cool. What's it? The number 3 move that does that like burst?
That's that's an AoE slow, I think.
It's a
around you.
cripple. Yeah, AoE
it's
cripple.
really cool.
And gain
But it's just like a scepter.
retaliation. Retaliation for each foe you strike. Retaliation is awesome. Especially
Retaliation's
it stacks
great.
in duration, right? How retaliation does?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so if you manage to hit like 5 people, that's 15 seconds of retaliation. That's no joke.
Yeah, you're sending a lot of damage back out when you do that.
That's why you see some of those necros, they just don't go down sometimes. And then they pop the Death Shroud, and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, there goes the rest of my life.
There goes the rest of all my damage I tried to put on him.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
so you seem to think the staff is really useful for Worldy World. Same thing for the Elementalist. You need that long-range ability because you don't want to be fighting 30 people while inside the group of 30 people most of the time.
The
But
staff is useful for every, dungeons, PvE, PvP, yeah, I mean, you should always have the staff as your offhand.
I have to
or your
say,
You
switch.
could bring mobs into it. Like you just to say, all right, if you're organized, a little bit organized, you're on Mumble or something like that. You're like, all right, wait for a second before you grab that mob, and you just lay down all this AOE, and the mob just comes on, boom, it hits them. They all run back and they get chilled, and it's good. And if you're expecting to like condition duration, whatever you have on your runes,
Right.
it really helps. It really helps, and it's really fun playing a Necro for PvE.
I have to say, the dagger, when I tried playing around with the dagger on the Necromancer, I was so jealous. Because the dagger on my Elementalist does crap damage, and you have to be right next to them. Like, no, I'm sorry. It will do really good potential damage. It just won't do it reliably ever, because you have to land specific AoEs after a certain amount of time, and you have no way to lock them in place. So it's like, please stand under the giant flaming dragon's tooth for another 2 seconds, my friend, and
then let
I
me
will
hug
be
you.
ever in your debt.
Yeah,
that'll
that
work.
must do a mega lot of damage because it just makes no sense how long it stays up there. You see it,
It
you're like,
does.
okay, let me just dodge out the way.
Yeah,
Boom.
it does
And some of
tons
those
of damage.
AIs are.
It does tons of
smart.
damage when you hit, and then it has a huge amount of burning damage after that. But nobody ever gets hit by it. I can't even get the AI to control to stay in the damn thing sometimes.
I've found
Yeah.
that works really well against people that are playing with blindfolds. That's usually the best situation.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was the blindfold counter. My bad.
Yeah, that's the
I think
counter
Arena
to
Net
blind-
does have things under control then. Whereas when I tried the Dagger's 1 skill on like a golem in the mists, I was like, what the hell? 2,000 damage? What the hell just happened?
The dagger is fun. It is fun.
Does tons of damage.
But I mean, you're wearing cloth, and it's hard to like be in a setting where you can sit there and like use the dagger on someone without any repercussion.
True enough. So, let's see. So favorite weapons seem to be axe, scepter, maybe staff, and dagger offhand, it sounds like. What about the focus and the warhorn? Are those any good?
They're not bad, but it's
Yeah.
just if that it can work, but I've just never wanted to use that over the dagger offhand.
I noticed with the warhorn, the Wail of Doom
It's not bad.
seems to
It's
take
good.
as long to cast as they are dazed. Like the casting animation lasts for about a second, and then they're dazed for 2 seconds. Like, why did I bother doing that?
Well, I guess their intention, it should make that a little better. But as an interrupt, I guess it works.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then you get the swiftness, but I don't know. I never really need swiftness because of Spirit Walk or Spectral Walk. That gives you swiftness for so long that
So long.
So what's
yes,
Spectral
I mean-
Walk? Is that a trait?
that is a
No, it's
utility
a-
skill.
Oh, it's a utility skill. I
Yeah,
might have
that's
missed
what I-
that one. Spectral
That
Walk.
you pop it and you run really fast, and for a short time you're like spectral green colored, and you can activate it again to teleport back to where you started. It's very, very,
Sneaky,
very
sneaky.
useful.
Little LeBlanc action going on in there.
Exactly, 100% LeBlanc.
All right, so let's talk about the aquatic weapons. Trident or spear?
Oh man, I don't even know.
Trident. I
You gotta
never
use
get
the
close in
trident.
the water.
Yeah, you-
never get close because I don't know. It seems like melee. I mean, ArenaNet made underwater much better, than it was before because it was just terrible. Underwater.
You're talking about
I
in
just
other
hated it.
games, right?
No, ArenaNet. Like before, underwater combat was just really bad, and now they extended it that with the trident. I think with a lot of weapons, you can attack. It bounces off and attacks 3
Oh,
people.
you're saying they made patch changes to Guild Wars 2 and they improved it?
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Jormag just popped on my server, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, enjoy your blues and greens. We'll see.
Right.
I can't even tell you much about underwater because I mean I don't know when are you going to the only time
Come
I've
on
ever
now, you guys
ever
have
seen
10
important-
skills. I could tell you 20 skills on my Elementalist underwater.
The only time it's ever seemed important is in TA. I think what is it, story mode, where you fight that fish, the giant fish. Twilight Arbor story mode.
I never did that one.
Never did it.
Never
oh, man.
did it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
I'm a
dungeon. I
dungeon
ran
noob.
that 20 times.
Dungeon noob.
I'm a
I
dungeon
just run
rod.
Ascalonian Catacombs. That's
There
the
was
place that
there
has
was a
the
week
tiers.
where I ran Twilight Arbor like over and over just to get the full dungeon set, and by the time we were done, I was so sick of those blossoms that pop up. I don't know if you've never done it, you won't know what I'm talking about, but anyone who's listening,
Oh.
the blossoms that pop up all around and just basically insta-jib anybody standing. Oh, it's the most frustrating thing you could ever go through.
Ouch.
All right. So anyway, nobody cares about underwater combat. Let's hop into something else here. What's the best healing skill? We've got 3. Consume conditions. Eats conditions on yourself and gives you health for each one. You got the Blood Fiend that will give you sort of a slow health steal as it does damage. And then you've got Well of Blood, which heals you and allies. What's
Well,
what's
put
the
it
what's
this
the
way:
best here?
anybody that's using the Blood Fiend has played the Necromancer for about 1 hour
Exactly.
total.
Exactly.
The Well is it's okay, I guess, but the Consume Conditions is by far absolutely gotta have it.
Even though it's on a slightly longer cooldown than the Blood Fiend.
It heals you for so much, especially if you've got conditions on you. But I mean, I don't know what you mean by longer cooldown. It's still fairly short. I think it's
Well, yeah,
what,
it's 25 seconds.
25
20
seconds
for the
which,
Blood Fiend.
And then when you've got Death Shroud to that's basically half the cooldown if you sit in Death Shroud. If you're in a desperate situation, you're really not going to die.
I like the Well of Blood because I can just pop it down and it heals everyone. It's so useful. It's so useful to have an AoE heal.
It is.
It's so useful.
I could definitely see that being useful in dungeons or World versus World where you need that
Absolutely.
group support.
Yeah. If you're by yourself, you can just switch it to Consume Condition, especially in Ore, because Ore, you get a condition just by getting in the map. You automatically have a condition.
Also, Well of Blood is a light field for some reason. Why does blood create a light field? Nobody knows. But
Well,
what you
think
can
about
do is a blast finisher gives you area retaliation, leap provides retaliation, projectiles remove conditions, and whirling finishers give you cleansing bolts. So there you go.
I'm more of a selfish necromancer, so I use Consume Conditions. I don't heal anybody else.
Well, it's just so weird that the Necromancer has got the only other light field outside of Guardian. Actually, sorry, the Engineer
It
and
is.
Mesmer also have light fields, but the Guardian's got like 6 different light fields, and the Necromancer's like, I'll just use this blood to make your holy light fields look like babies. Like, what? What is going on? My whole
Magic.
world is upside down.
Magic.
Magic it is. All right, so
Ailments.
let's see. So we talked about weapon sets. What about utility skills here? Is there any utility skill? We talked about Epidemic a little bit. It applies vulnerability on yourself, oh noes, and spreads conditions on a target foe to all allies. Now, how exactly does that work? Is the cooldown refreshed when it spreads it, or is it the same exact remaining time?
It's refreshed.
Oh, really? So
As far
if you
as I
put,
know, yes.
if you're
The
putting,
the durations of all the conditions in this game are so short, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But in my experience, it refreshes them.
okay, that's interesting then. Did it used to be stronger? I thought Epidemic got nerfed a couple of times, didn't it?
It used to have infinite range, so
Yeah.
they made it actually have a range. That's the thing.
Everyone in the sound of my voice now has polio.
It was awesome when that was around, man.
It was.
It was awesome. Like the Guardian before the hard nerf when it was launched. Like it's just so many things.
I remember trying to play
Sniff.
structured PvP when the Guardian was epic.
Oh my gosh, you couldn't
I'm
kill me. I
sorry.
still have a video on that, just like me and a spirit build ranger just running around together, and the whole team will come and attack us, and we'll just sit there and laugh.
I'm
You cannot
sorry, you
kill
only
me.
brought 5 people. You won't be able to kill us today.
We'll just sit there and take our, no one will be able to take us out because I would spam my, put my elite, and I would be rooted into the ground and won't die because I'm getting healed by the ranger. So they would just be attacking and we'll be taking all the other points. But anyways, we're talking about the necro.
Anyways, about the Necromancer. So anyways, we talked about Epidemic a little bit. What other sort of elite skill, or not elite skill, utility skills are super useful in your various builds?
I don't stray too far from anything, honestly. I'm very happy with Spectral Walk, Epidemic, and then I use Well of Power, which is the condition removal well, which is AoE. And with those three, you won't find yourself dying, pretty much.
So how does it turn conditions into boons? Does it straight up turn like cripples into swiftness and bleeds into regeneration or anything like that?
Pretty much. I don't know the specifics.
Or does it just give you a
but
random boon?
with every tick of the well, I'm not sure if it's random. With every tick of it, though, it'll change a number of conditions, usually one or two, into a boon, short boon.
And how long does that one last? It duration's 5
seconds.
seconds.
5
Okay,
seconds,
so,
right.
so if you've got a bunch
And
of...
it's a tick every second.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's pretty useful.
Anyone standing inside it as well, it's very good.
Well,
I mean that is one I'd lean on. Like if somebody has if somebody has another preference for what they want there, by all means use it. But I swear by these three.
What about Minion Master? Because I love making like minion necromancers in these
Me
other
too.
games, and so I was coming to Guild Wars 2. I'm like,
Sucks.
I'm gonna make a Minion Master. So I come in
Well,
here.
you would, Bridger.
How does that work out for me?
You're gonna be very unhappy.
Oh,
Very. It just goes and it's retarded AI. It just goes and attacks things. It's just like, okay, over here, guys, I control you. You know, it's just like I
And then
can
they
kill
say,
you
"No,
with
you
a
don't."
button now. Like, get over here. And no, they just
They're like, screw this, you created me. I'm gonna just wander off over here, maybe eat and find some food on the ground, and
yeah. Who needs that?
oh my gosh, it's like they have the mind of their own. It's like, no, you follow me. I am the minion master.
My wheel is
Okay.
done. Do you
they're
remember
like,
that?
they're like, yeah, all right, buddy, see you later.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a point in time when the flesh worm used to follow the necromancer around?
The flesh worm,
Yeah.
is that something?
That's a thing. That's one of the minions you can summon. What
Is
kind of
it?
necromancer are you?
I'm not a minion master.
One that doesn't summon minions. Okay, fair enough. I could have sworn I remember in the beta seeing necromancers run around, and it looks kind of like the worms, like the plains worms and the frost worms that you see around Tyria, but it was just like sliding through the ground as if it didn't have
Yeah.
legs. It was
No,
weird. And then it went underwater, and you just see it like end. It was just this empty tube at the bottom because it was unfinished.
Is the flesh worm the one you can teleport to?
Yes, it would
Yeah,
sacrifice
I've
your
seen
flesh
people
worm to
use
teleport
that
to it.
successfully. The
Now
other
it's
one
immobile.
that's
It doesn't move
right,
anymore.
it's immobile,
Oh, I
exactly.
see it.
But you can cast it and teleport to it. The
That's
other
pretty
one that's
tight.
useful is the flesh golem, as the elite, just because it has very good uptime. You know, it's pretty much up all the time, and it's got a charge knockdown, which is really good. And if you think about it as here's this thing I can summon and knock someone down just for more control, it's a really good spell, and you have the added bonus of it actually doing something once in a while, and that just that can't hurt ever.
I did find out the well of power converts bleeding to vigor, blind to fury, burning to aegis, chilled to vigor, so it does have a very straight one-to-one relationship.
Gotcha.
Fear to stability, immobilized to swiftness, poison to regeneration, crippled to swiftness. Swiftness gets twice on that list. Vulnerability to protection, weakness to might. That makes sense. So that's kind of cool.
It's nice how the Necro can counter a Necro with that.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
It's got a long cooldown though, Well of Power.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a minute, so that you usually get to use that, depending on what you're fighting, but it's just not often.
Gotcha. Okay, so minions not really useful. What about the signets? Are there any good signets in there?
There's always speed, but yeah.
What are you talking about? The Locust?
Plague
Yeah,
signet.
the Locust one where you get to run. I think every class should have that. So when you're doing map completion, it's a little bit easier.
You
Every
run
class should have a
faster.
speed one.
Yeah, the Elementalist does. The Elementalist has traits that'll do that, and it also, I believe, the Signet of Air makes you run faster, if I'm not mistaken. And the Signet of Spite. The Signet of Spite
At the
inflict
moment.
bleeding, blinding, crippled, poisoned, and vulnerability for 5 seconds. Damn.
Some people
Damn.
can put that on them and then use Epidemic and spread that to everybody.
Yeah.
Which is, I used to do that, but it fell out of favor for me just because of how short the conditions are in there.
Yeah, it's
I
like
think,
5 seconds.
you know, it's good. It's definitely an option. And Plague Signet was really good, but they did something and it stopped working. And currently, it just doesn't even work anymore as condition removal half the time.
Monkey
I'm not sure
Monger
if that was
points
fixed,
out
but
those signets, like the Signet of Spite, is a 90-second cooldown, and for 5
Right.
seconds of those conditions, even though it's like a big bam, here, have a bunch of stuff, big spike thing, it's every 90 seconds. That's a little.
it's
long.
got a long cast time too. So
Oh yeah, 1/3 of a second looks like. Yeah, all the
'Cause-
signets seem to have something like that.
Because when you look at it, like if you keep getting conditions, like with the plague, and then you send it to your foe, and then you use epidemic, and it spreads everywhere like a virus. It would be awesome, like if it worked that, if it was that simple. But
Right.
most of the time, you may not need a use for it, and something else could be better in that
Exactly.
spot.
exactly, especially when you're talking. I mean,
On paper, it works good.
when you're talking 10 to 20 conditions on someone and then using epidemic, I mean, you don't need more than that, especially if they have a cripple. It's not worth it for how short they are when you're already spreading 20 conditions.
You're right.
And the Signet of Undeath, the Necromancer, is about one of the only other few classes that I know of, besides, I think, the Guardian, Necromancer, and Elementalist, that have spells that can just be like, oh, friends, you're okay. No problem. I don't even have to lean down and whisper sweet words into your ear to res you. Like, no more tears, only dreams.
Oh, the Signet of
Signet of
Death?
Undeath. Yeah, that's the one that'll
Right.
revive up to 3 downed allies in a target area.
And you know what? I wish it did that, and then I might use it.
Yeah.
But currently, it's just a shell of an AOE on the ground that seems to not do anything.
Yeah, it does
I
seem
don't
there's a
understand
bug
that.
there.
Because
I don't either.
the Guardian has the same thing and it doesn't do it. Like I'll be in PvP, and I don't play much PvP, and I go in there with a Guardian and I'm like, okay, and I said, oh, you're down? Let me revive you. I pop it, nothing happens, and I'm
Yeah.
targeting him and everything.
I
don't
have
know what's up
seen
with
it
some of these
happen
skills.
very sparingly on my Elementalist as well.
Yeah, the first time I tried to use that, I was like, "This is great. I'm going to use this in a dungeon. This is going to be awesome." I had
Yeah.
three of my 5 people were downed, and I was like, "Boom, here we go. Gonna get this boss." And it was just like, fizzle.
Yep.
Or that it takes so damn long to cast, they're already dead, and I'm like, wait, did it work? Did it not work? Was there too long? What happened? I don't understand.
Did I miss the AOE or something? And no, it doesn't really work. That's a
Alright.
shame too, because it would be good.
Let's
Right.
let's
The Warriors have the Warband that.
Oh,
actually
that's the other
works.
one, the War Banner. That's right.
Of course, the Warriors stuff works. Of course.
Of course.
Everyone plays a dang warrior, so
Happy.
got to keep them happy.
All right. Let's talk elite. What is the best elite? I mean, clearly it's Plague, right? It's got to be
Clearly,
Plague.
I mean,
Flesh Golem.
they're all good.
Really?
Let's put it that way.
That's
yeah,
like the
they're all
first time
good.
we've had that happen. Everybody else is like, this is crap. You can maybe use this one if you feel like killing yourself.
If you're a power necro, the Lich form does an insane amount of damage.
Yeah.
If you're not a power necro, you shouldn't use it. Plague is great, and it's just got a long cooldown. But if you want more uptime on your elite, then Flesh Golem is fine too. I say they're all good.
I like Plague so much, but
20
Lich
seconds of
form
blind,
does-
it's so good.
yeah, Lich Form does so much more damage that it's just like, oh, okay. But like, because you just turn into a little black ball and you just kill everybody.
And
You
that's
just
awesome.
like run around, you do figure 8 between their legs and blind them.
Yeah.
I've
good.
been
It's awesome.
told that the Flesh Golem is the only minion that will regenerate its health over time.
Well, props to the Flesh Golem.
I haven't even bought it. I was just like, eh.
No, it's good, man. If you try it out, you'll be happy with how often you get to use it, and it does cripple whatever it hits, and I think it hits for like 600 or so damage on each melee attack. It's actually a pretty good skill.
I can use it to distract the champion on top of South Sun Cove to get my rich orichalcum.
I never really feel like I need like an oh shoot button with Plague, so that's why I use it. But if you're getting yourself into trouble and you need that button, then Plague's awesome.
So apparently the Lich form also does the Norn, or maybe this is a Norn
course.
doing it, the Carlton.
Oh yeah, dude.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
Well, it might be whatever race you are, though.
It might be. Let's see. There's other. Okay, Lich Dance.
No, I think that's
Wait,
the
let me
only
try it
one.
out right now. I'll try it right now.
Yeah, that's the only one. I see it always do that.
It's because he's big like Norn. You know?
Okay,
That's...
I am doing the Carlton, and I'm an Azura.
Now,
Man,
does
if
the
the Lich
Lich
form
form
can do that.
Does the Lich form look same on an Asura as it does on anything
Yes.
else? I
Yes.
wanted to see like an Asura tiny shaped Lich form.
If
Yeah,
only.
just like the tiny weapons. Yay.
The tiny weapons.
clipping weapons.
Like,
Yeah, the
somebody needs to make a comic where an Asura hands a great sword to somebody else and it just like grows. And he's like, how did you do that? I've been trying to get that thing to get bigger for years. And then you have somebody off camera going, what are you guys talking about? Yeah, good times. All right, I like writing stuff for people, but let's get back into it. What else do we got to talk about here? Elites are awesome, apparently the consensus is. Let's talk about traits, ladies and gentlemen. We got 5 trait lines: spites, curses, death, blood, and soul reaping. Now, out of all of these, which one leaves much to be desired?
All of them?
Oh, okay. Well, as long as we're... So
lot.
that's how ArenaNet balances things. Every single one of these elites is great. The
It's a
traits
lesser
are
of many
terrible.
evils.
everything is kind of split up, right?
It is, yeah.
Snake, it's just like you get your minion stuff on your on your power one, and then it goes down to
Why
with
is-
the curses. Like they split them up.
Spite is
Like,
described as the trait line focusing on improving damage, sickness, and retaliation. There's one trait in this entire thing that gives you retaliation. What?
It's a bit weird. I mean,
It is a bit weird,
It's a
but
good
that
thing
doesn't
and a
mean
bad
that you,
thing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't find a good build.
Right. Like for instance, if you're into Wells and you know, like in most classes you can't get both of the elites you want, you know, the Grandmaster trait.
Mm-hmm.
So the option you have here is that you can go to another trait line that you don't not want to go in and get the other elite. You know,
I didn't want any of these other things.
If I could, I'd like to share the actual build that I use.
Sure.
I put 30 in curses.
Okay, curses
in-
gives you precision and condition damage, and it gives you bonuses to conditions and critical hits, it looks like.
Right.
Curses.
10 in death magic, which gives you toughness and boon duration, which is kind of useless, but the 10 skill in death magic is really good. 10 in blood magic, and 20 in soul reaping. The actual, what are they called?
Major traits?
Skill, yeah, the major traits that you pick. But I found that to be exactly what I need. Specifically, greater marks in death magic, the first major trait. Increase the area of marks, and marks become unblockable. It makes them huge. You can cover so much ground with the marks from the
Wow,
staff.
makes them unblockable, too.
Yeah,
So does that
it's
mean...
really,
that doesn't
really
mean undodgeable. That just means unblockable. Right? That's very specific.
It seems very specific.
What
I
is this
believe people
dark
can
armor?
spot-
Gain 400 toughness while channeling. An Elementalist has a thing that says gain toughness while channeling. Gives you like 120 toughness. What is this bullshit? I
you
want
weren't supposed to
dark
see that,
armor.
Bridger.
Ah. I'm going to start a Bridger rant
in,
here.
In blood magic, the first major trait is leave a mark of blood when you dodge.
Yeah.
And basically, if you have that, and if you have the sigils in your weapon that when you switch, does an AoE thing around you and puts like 2 stacks of bleed on someone, you can dodge into someone, switch weapons, and instantly put 6 or 7 bleeds on them in between a few AoEs you have, and you can hit 14. I mean, that's usually the number I hit when I'm going all out. You can hit 14 bleeds on someone, epidemic, and everything around them just gets put at 25.
Youch.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Damn.
Yep.
All right, I'm jealous. So, death magic seems to focus on minions. The thing that I was looking at, and I had to laugh, necromantic corruption. Minions have a 10% chance to remove a boon when they attack. Are you kidding me? Those
Oh,
things
but-
attack like once every 4 seconds. You have like a chance to remove one boon every 40 seconds. The minion doesn't last 10.
I don't know what they were thinking there.
I don't even know, man. Like some of these traits is just like, oh, okay, toss it.
Oh.
Like I wish I could just physically remove some of these traits,
I don't
so I
wanna
don't have to
ever
look at them. I can look at the important ones.
You don't even want to look at it.
There's really not too many options in a given, master trait slot. I mean, there's pretty obvious choices. There's some tough decisions you might have to make, but for the most part, a lot of them are terrible.
Oh man, yeah. So traits definitely need a couple of balance passes on those to make them a little bit quality of life things. Terror, fear does damage. That seems kind of cool.
Right, that's what I was saying before, and each tick of it will do 500 to 1,000, depending on how much
Whoa.
power you have and everything. So if you trade to have fear last longer, any one fear can do a good amount of damage. A really important trait, though, a minor trait, is Last Gasp in Soul Reaping. It's the number 15.
Mm-hmm.
You gain spectral armor at 50% health. That's pretty much a must-have.
That's nice.
It's
Which
very good damage
gives
mitigation.
you life force as you take damage and protection as well.
Right.
Interesting. Actually,
I mean, that's automatic.
the Elementalist has a similar one where when you get to 50%, it gives you Earth Shield, which gives you stability and protection and for about 5 or 6 seconds as well.
That's what that
Similar
is.
line of thinking there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing that every time I beat down a elementalist. It's just like that stupid Earth Shield. Like, what's this going on? Yeah.
Earth shielding.
I don't believe that you hit a button for that, sir. How did you do it? You explain.
Objection!
Explain. Explain.
Oh no. Oh man, Doctor Who, I need to catch up on that.
All right. Anyway, this is not the Whovian podcast. What else is there to
was
say
the
about
flute.
necromancers? Matt, what does your build look like? What do you favor?
People are gonna laugh at my build, but I love wells because I just kind of gather everything together, and when I'm farming, I kind of just put them everywhere. Especially there's a certain event that enemies come from like 3 sides, and I just put them everywhere, and it ends up hitting everyone in the area. So I end up getting loot from everybody there. So I go into definitely curses and get 30 in those, and I didn't even touch death magic, surprisingly, because of that increased duration boon by 10%. It's just like, what is that? I don't have boons as a necro.
Right.
And
You don't need it, honestly, but the greater marks is a good trade if you decide to pick that up.
And I go into blood magic and spite as well. And I need to actually look at my build in PvE. Let me.
What
get
are you
out.
getting from blood magic?
I am getting the 20% well regenerate because I use like all wells. Because what happens? All the melee mobs will come up, and I'll pop Well of Darkness, and then I'll pop if I have any cripple or conditions, I'll pop.
Oh, that's the cooldown ritual mastery. It's called Wells recharge 20% faster. Okay.
So I was messing around and getting some was it the Wells Siphon Health, but it really doesn't give much, I gotta say.
So
Not
do you feel like that reduces the cooldown enough to make your build viable for like farming? Like they come down off cooldown by the time you're ready to, beat up the next group of mobs?
Yeah, because I popped Death Shroud, and Death Shroud, you stay in there for a very long time. PvP is a bit different. You can't really stay in there long, but in PvE, you stay in there forever. Like,
Well, what are you doing when you're in there? Are you have power in your build, so you're using the auto
I'm using
attack?
4.
Okay.
I'm using 4, and it on top of all the AOE I'm doing between my scepter, dagger, all my wells, right, and I'm getting so much health back for all the damage I'm doing and all the crits that I'm getting from the wells that I just don't die. And then I pop my Death Shroud while everything's on cooldown and suck everyone's life away. And if things are not dead by then, Yeah, the things are dead by then.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's hard to die, isn't it, as a
it's
necromancer?
really hard to die because like the build I'm doing is siphon health, wells, lots of AoE basically. So I just put all these conditions down, and then I safely, if they're trying to do damage to me, because I have Well of Darkness down, so they can't really do damage if they're
It's a
doing.
short blind, but it's definitely good.
Is definitely because I trade into chill gives you blind. I traded into that,
Oh, okay.
so it blinds them as well. Hold up, am I getting those confused? You guys know what I'm saying.
Uh,
Blind gives you chill. I trade into the trait that gives when
Oh,
target blind it gets
cold,
chill.
blind, chilling, blindness, something. I know what you're talking about.
So,
Yeah, I know what you're talking
so
about,
when
too.
they're inside of my well, they're getting chilled, so they can't
Chill
reach me
death.
anywhere.
No, where the hell is it?
It's like the first one
Chill
for
of death. Chilling darkness. When you blind a target, you apply chill for 1 second.
yeah, chilling dark. Yeah, it's in curses, and you could get it on the first 10 points. So I put that in there, so it really combines with the Well of Darkness there. Plus, it combines with the dagger Deadly Swarm. Also, so when I apply blindness for 6 seconds and bounces off 3 targets,
right.
that
They're
also
all chilled back and forth.
exactly. So basically, nothing reaches me, nothing damages me. I'm the PVE queen because I'm a girl. So it's so enjoyable to play Necro in PVE. You
Yeah.
have to experience it because I did not want to play Necro at first. I was like,
The early levels are kind of discouraging too because you don't have access to all the utilities and traits and everything. And the traits almost, I would say, even though there's a lot of garbage ones, they do really round out any given build that you're focusing on.
right.
What would the other thing I wanted to ask you is what you use for sigils and what runes do you use?
Since I do a lot of bleeding, I decided to try out the bleeding duration,
Okay.
and it's okay. It's not too much. You know, I seem like the durations they kind of like you hope for more from some of these runes, you know.
Right.
But I like the condition duration as well. Like you can do duration to all your conditions, and you do a lot of conditions as a necro, so it really helps out. I use condition duration and bleeding duration. I was messing around with those, and for signets, sometimes I switch to the speed if I'm running to get Orchalcum.
No, the sigils on your weapons.
Oh, that's right. Let me check. I have 60% chance to do bleeding because I have crit.
Right. That's how I have that one as well.
I have that one, and then I got lazy and put 5% crit chance on my dagger. Pretty sure I can use something else with that. I was thinking about using you kill an enemy, you get, was it 10 condition, and you stack it up 25 times, and so you get 250 condition damage.
Oh, the sigil you're
right.
talking about? That gives you the 7. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good if you do PvE a lot and you're doing a lot of farming. So if you don't get
Without dying.
don't
Yeah.
get
Down. That's the one that knocks it out if you're down.
yeah,
That's definitely useful.
You don't get down as a necro much, you know.
Right.
So if anything, you hit everything. So when everything dies, the stat goes right back up.
Well,
So
my
it's a really
absolute.
good path. What about
Sorry,
you?
go ahead. Well, my absolute favorite would be on my offhand dagger, the Sigil of Earth that you have 60% chance on critical to inflict bleeding. And then I actually have on the scepter and on the staff the Sigil of Geomancy, which is when you switch to it, it does a little AoE effect and bleeds whatever's around you.
And you stack it up with the other trait that you were doing before as well.
Where you dodge and it leaves a mark, exactly.
Yeah.
And Superior Rune of the Undead on everything is just straight condition damage and toughness. And I use that mainly because it gives a lot of survivability to have that toughness. And I feel like toughness is a better stat than just raw health on the Necromancer. Since you've
Definitely.
got 2 health bars that, they have to chew through, and any sort of mitigation is better than just flat health. I'm not sure about the numbers on that, but that's what I've found in my experience.
Yeah, it feels like because you have all right. So the warrior and the necro have the most health in the game.
Exactly.
So let's get that out the way for people who don't know. So you already have a lot of health, and what I like to do a lot with my characters when I get them up to 80 is kind of mix it up. Like I have carrion armor, but then I'm trying out the emerald.
Carrion is the one that gives you condition damage as the primary, right?
Yeah, condition damage, vitality, and power, right? And then I switch it up with the rings and amulets and stuff and get the power, precision, toughness. So I have some toughness, right? And toughness is the main trait for the emerald rings. So you get a lot of toughness, power, which I do a lot of. I'm a power necro, so I do a lot of that, and precision that helps me with the crits. So and then I spec into getting crits with the scepter and getting bleeding as well with the sigil.
All right, so let's sort of, I guess, wrap it up here. Any final thoughts on Necromancers, things that need to be improved, anything we didn't cover yet? Matt?
Anything we didn't cover yet? Not at the top of my head, other than I wish boon duration wasn't there at all.
Because you don't have any way to put boons on yourself, is that what you're saying?
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I want that trait line. I want to go deep into it because I like toughness as a necro, like what Snake was saying. But it's not really worth it to go
Maybe
in
if you
there.
run with a guardian and he gives you stuff, then it's useful. Because boon duration, unless that's the question, does trait line boon duration apply only to boons on yourself put on by you, or does it apply by boons that you apply to other people? Because if it does, then that means whenever you turn conditions into boons for your allies, their boon duration should be increased because of that line.
It would seem like any boons that you create are affected by your own boon duration. Logically.
I would think so. You can self-condition yourself and then use the boon well on yourself. It's really good. That's what they self-condition yourself. I like it. All right, so I guess that's about it. Before we go, I do want to give a quick shout-out to a couple of the guilds that sent in. We have Marked Souls, since we're talking about marks. Marked Souls. This is from Kusi Dorrigan. Says, the guild Marked Souls is from Stormbluff Isle, and we've been around since 2007, where we started as a Guild War I guild. Some of our members took the time to write some really great things on our recruitment thread over on the official forum, and this is my way of thanking them. So he's got a link to the official forum thread. They are a PVX World versus World guild. Also, and this is a very interesting name, the Lifeguards of Lion's Arch, a.k.a. Swim, is a small, tightly knit group of friends, 18 plus, who have shared years of experience in Guild Wars 1 and have made the transition to Guild Wars 2. Our guild aims to foster a sense of family, camaraderie, both in and out of game. If you want a group of friends you can rely on and have fun and enjoyable time, etc., etc., join Swim. You can check out their website and create an account at thegw2guild.com. Really? That's, wow. thegw2guild.com. That is a bold move, sir. I have to say, that's a pretty good URL to grab. So that's cool. So shout out to those guys. And I guess that's about it for us here. So
Shout
I
out
want
my friend Keith, a.k.a. Falreek.
There you go. Shout out to Keith, a.k.a. Falreek. And thank you, too, for joining me. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get Kai here today. Reminder, next week is Planetside 2 show. The week after that, we jump back to Guild Wars 2. It's going to be a good time. Stay tuned and enjoy all the things. Evil laugh. Mine is an evil laugh.